at the bottom. Thank you, saved my life. Right. So, can you all see me in the center image? Yes, it's all right. I've gone up to the small image above, which is always strange on mine, but I'm glad you can. So, welcome everybody. Thank you to all of those of you that are joining me live tonight. And thanks to everybody who's watching the replay as well. It's so lovely to be here. I've not been around for a little while, which I know you're all signed up to my newsletter, so you've probably read my updates saying that I've had a few health challenges, to put it mildly, and also 2024 has been quite tough. My dad passed away in April as well, so it sort of knocked me a bit for six, but I'm feeling like I'm just ready to re-emerge back into the art world and to being a bit more visible. So I thought, what better way to do it than do a little intimate gathering in my teeny little cottage studio, which is probably the smallest art studio in the whole world, I would think. And Barb, who's here live tonight, asked me if I'd do a little video about my studio, and because I'm on my laptop, it's going to be quite hard for me to do that tonight. But I am promising to you, Barb, I'm going to do a little version on my phone so I can show you all around my teeny little studio coming soon. So watch out for that. But tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to have three key things. And I'd love you guys that are here with me live to ask any questions. You can either just unmute if you are sitting muted and ask me a question as we go through, or if you prefer, you can type a message in the little chat box down at the bottom right, if that's where it is on your screen anyway. And I'll be checking for those and obviously listening in for your questions, but do feel free to get involved. So the three things, as you probably read from my invitation, is a little bit more about my story, just sort of sharing why and how I sort of came to be a wildlife artist, co-creating with animals, and how that came about. Because when I share that story, most people seem very interested and ask lots of questions. So I thought it might be nice to share a bit of that. Then I'm going to take us round to my easel where I've got my latest piece, and I'm going to share a little bit more. I haven't done a lot on it, but I'll tell you a little bit more about how it's been developing and the story behind that. And then the third piece is I'm going to share with you a super summer saver just for you guys. I won't be sharing this anywhere else, just as a way of saying thank you. And I'll be walking you through how you can take advantage of that over the next week. So that's our agenda for the next, I'm hoping it'll be about half an hour. Zoom will unceremoniously cut us off after 40 minutes. So I am on the clock. So I've got my phone here just to keep an eye on time. But I will do my best to keep it to about half an hour so you know where we're headed. So I'm going to start. And as I say, if you have any questions or if there's something you already know about me and you just want to ask another question, feel free. But I just wanted to share a little bit about my story, because sometimes I look back and think, isn't it? It's a wonder how we get to where we are on our paths, and I thought it might be interesting to share it. But some of my earliest memories and happiest memories are being with animals. All animals, any animals, preferably out in nature, and how at home I always have felt. I've always felt like I could just be myself and find balance. Even when I was teeny, I didn't really know what that was all about. I don't suppose I did unconsciously. But I always just felt like whatever was going on in my life, as soon as I was out in nature, I felt better and I felt more connected. One of my early memories is sitting on a swing in one of our early houses in the back garden, looking up at the sky, and seeing the images in the clouds. And I just thought that was me being, me being creative and imagining different animals and different symbols, mainly animals. But then I later came to discover fairly recently, in the last sort of 10 years, that as part of the Celtic tradition, which my ancestors come from, as you probably know, that cloud divination is one of the things that is held and revered as being a sacred way of seeing. And of course I didn't know consciously of that, but I feel like I've always had that connection to what I'm learning now with those ancient traditions, which I feel so lucky to have had that as sort of a great way of comforting me when I was younger and when things have been difficult in my life. Another example of my childhood, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this with the reflection. Can you see that okay? So this is me. I think I must be about 6 or 7, I think. And my dad took me to a local circus back in the days when animals were in circuses. And he was very keen for me to get into this queue to have my photo taken with this beautiful little lion cub. But I remember getting closer and closer to the front of the queue and thinking, what on earth is this little lion cub doing here? Why aren't they with their mother in the wild? And I mean, you can see probably the look on my face. I wasn't happy, but I was doing what I was told, and everybody else seemed so excited about it. But I remember that really strongly. And the rest of my story, as some of you probably already know, involves working with lions, and I really feel that it's a core part of why I'm here, to give back to wildlife and nature because of how much they give to us. And that really is something that runs very strongly through me. So I think that's a core part of me, and that sort of knowing when I was very small, that was why I was here. So, of course, when I got to school, art I loved. So I was always drawing and painting. Guess what? Animals, nature. My art teachers despaired of me, wanting me to draw people and landscapes, and I just wasn't interested. In fact, I got a B in my art exams because I refused to do abstract and landscape and the things that they wanted me to do. I got a B instead, so I must have done something right, but I stuck to my guns, and it was all wildlife and animals that I submitted. So it's sort of, again, testimony to how it's always been there for me, that real passion. But I was sort of told very quickly not to work, or to get any ideas of being able to work with either animals or art, because you just wouldn't be able to pay your bills. It wouldn't be sustainable. You know the story, I'm sure, when you're linked into creativity, and I'm sure people mean well, but it sort of, as a young person, sort of makes you think, oh well. So of course I heeded their warnings and went off into the corporate world, which wasn't all bad, but I always found it, very difficult to fit in. But I learned very quickly, and I guess I was quite fortunate, to create the illusion of being a corporate person. So I was very good at it, and I learned how to play the games, and to avoid any difficulties, and in fact did pretty well in the corporate world, but my heart was not in it. And I'm surprised I managed to last as long as I did. But lots of the skills I picked up really helped me in my life today. And so I don't regret it. I think we're all on a path to learn, aren't we? And we've all done things where we probably think, why on earth was I doing that? And yet, in some instances, many in my case, you get to a point and you think, that's why I learned to touch type, and that's why I learned to, understand the human brain a bit more, and why people do the things they do. So whilst I was in the corporate world, for quite a big period of that, I went into the area of training and development. and I worked my way up into leadership development. And I did a lot of training for myself to be able to work with senior leaders in big companies. And part of that was some training around neuro-linguistic programming, which I did for many years. I was fascinated by it. And it re-sparked my passion and my need to get back to animals in nature. So I'm so grateful for that. And after goodness knows how many years in the corporate world, I finally had the courage to resign from my very well paid London-based job, knowing that I was going to go back to what I really cared about. And I've been on that path ever since, and I'm still here. So, you know, nothing that bad's happened to me, really. But some wonderful things have happened. And through that journey, I mean, a lot has happened, so I'll keep it brief. But I retrained and reconnected with animal communication, and I had lots of training, and then went on to run my own practice, and help teach others to reconnect to that skill within themselves. I also worked around healing and specialised in animal healing as well. To help me to answer lots of the questions that I had, and also to have that connection back with nature. I wrote a book, which I'm sure some of you know, I know some of you know about it, which is messages from the collective consciousness of species, and I'll show you that in a little while. And I also co-founded a conference called Awakening to Animals in 2012, and ran that with a couple of co-founders who knew a lady called Linda Tucker. I didn't know Linda Tucker, but they told me about her, and when she came to be our keynote speaker, I felt as if I already knew her. And fast forward a few years, I was working with Linda Tucker for her amazing non-profit organisation in South Africa called the Global White Lion Protection Trust. And I headed up the UK office for about 3 years, doing incredible work to help support Linda's pioneering scientific and spiritual combined protection and education around the sacred white lions and what they mean to the world and the whole of nature, and that whole need for us to return back to balance. So that was incredible. But at that point, I'd discovered my health. I live with migraine, and so at the moment I'm having hormonal changes which are having a big impact on my migraine attacks. And so at this point I was realizing that I really needed to step down and back from that role so that I could tend to my healing. And that's when my art came back. So I'm at home going through healing, doing various different things to heal myself. And of course, I'm drawn to start drawing and painting. And that was in 2018, beginning of 2019, I started doing that initially purely because I just felt this call to do it and to connect with the animals and to really work with the photographs, to connect into them and to see how, you know, and if I could bring back my very neglected painting and drawing skills, to bring the animals through. And I was completely hooked, and loved every moment of it. And so I decided within sort of, I don't know, about 6 months that I'd like to see if I could do this full time and as much as possible, given my health, and to share what I'm doing with as many people as I can. And I also share the weekly wildlife wisdom as well, which is where I share different wild species each week on YouTube, as I'm sure many of you know. to really get the message out of the beauty and unique energy and wisdom of each species, because that lights me up, and it means so much. And it's a delight always to find other people that connect with that and resonate with that as well, and to share that beautiful wisdom. So that's me really, and that's how I got here. So it's a quite a complex story, and so many magical things have happened that I haven't even mentioned there. But I hope that gives you a bit of a flavour, or maybe a memory jogger for those of you that know me a bit better as well. But sometimes I have to pinch myself with some of the things that I've been lucky enough to experience. Um, and yeah, and hopefully you can get a feel for that through my art as well. And that's certainly what I'm endeavouring to do, is to learn and grow and get better at my art as I continue, so that the animals can really show up and share their beautiful energy as people view, and connect with them as well. So with that in mind, I want to move on over to my relatively new magnetic, oh, get me, magnetic, let me move this a little bit, hold on, so I can get you a bit closer. How well can you see that? Because of course I'm just seeing me in a little box. And can you see? Can you see? Yeah, is that all right? Hey, okay, it's not too close, but hopefully you can get an idea. And I haven't got a great deal down on there, so there's a lot more to come. But you're the first people to see this. I haven't shared this on social media at the moment, so this is a behind the scenes little view. And what I wanted to do is just sort of share with you how this piece has come about. I've been aware of this bubbling under the surface probably now for a couple of months, out of my window, which I will share in my little video of my studio, Barb. I've got a beautiful view of fields and rolling hills, and in the nearest field I started seeing a beautiful vixen, who would come out into the field in the day, which is quite unusual really, and she would stop and look up at me and literally stay there. And so of course I'm in absolute awe and a complete connection with her, and I was just listening to her, and you know how challenging it is for them in to live in rural areas these days. And she was sharing that, you know, the balance of nature is just not right, which of course we know. And she was sharing that, and then one day she came, and again I was in my studio looking out, and there she was, and then ever so timidly 4 cubs came out. And I was just, I think I squealed at one point. I was just couldn't believe how beautiful, and that she would bring them in the daylight to show me. And I just felt so honoured. And I knew at that point that her beautiful kind wanted to be heard. So I started to sort of feel into that. I haven't seen them much over the last few weeks, but part of their energy is all about invisibility as well. And I trust that she's doing what she needs to do. And I have seen a big male fox in the last week or so. So that's very special. And I trust that, fingers crossed, they're all doing well. So I sort of tuned into their beautiful energy and started to invite other influences as well. And I learned during this process that foxes in the Celtic tradition are known as the spirit of the wild woods. And I loved that. I thought it was so beautiful. And as I delved into that, partly some reading and learning about Celtic tradition from some wonderful people that carry that tradition through orally, and partly from connecting in and asking my guides and ancestors for guidance. There's also a link to a Celtic deity who's known as Carnunus, and he is the lord of the wild woods. And his job in the Celtic tradition is to manage and maintain the harmony and balance of the woods and of nature. Very, very sacred, key to life. So a very important job role he has. And obviously, in these times that we're living in, there's a lot of challenge around that. So he came forward and I started to look up and I found some images of him, and I don't know if you can see him because I've only just done the outline, but he's going to be in the backdrop, sort of ethereal, spirit-like, and he whispers, as the Celtic tradition goes, he whispers to the spirit of the wild woods. So the Lord of the wild wood spirit speaks to the spirit of the wild woods, and if you can get quiet enough and connected enough yourself and understand how to respect and honour the wild ones, you can request that Fox will give you some of that wonderful wisdom, which is very, very sacred. So I wanted to bring that in, and to share that. And then finally on the left here, again, I haven't done a great deal. I've just started laying down some of the base layers. The vixen is peeking out from an oak tree. So the sacred oak in the Celtic tradition is the tree of life. And so it's inviting that connection to our ability to remember that we are all connected, we're all one, and we can connect through peaceful, respectful relationship building with our ancestors. And you know, the indigenous peoples the world over say that the animals are our ancestors, which when I first heard that in Africa, just, you know, I really got the chills and knew that that was so true. And so this whole compilation with the little cub there as well, and I hope as I continue the work you'll see and feel that connection of what the young fox cub is bringing forward as well. And I'll leave that for you to ponder as I share some more. So that's the piece. It's 50 by 50 centimeters, so it's nice. I wanted it to be square. There was something about it being balanced and square. And as I say, I'm using a tooth paper for pastels. So I use soft pastel and pan pastels, which, if you don't know if you're aware of such things, you might be. They're like this, the little so it's a little compressed pastel, and you use various different sizes of little little applicators to pop this beautiful pastel on. You use those for the sort of the base layers to get the dark layers underneath the fur tones or on the tree. And then I gradually build up with layers of the either soft pastel sticks, and then finally, if I want greater detail, which will be predominantly on the vixen and the cub, I'll use the pastel pencil as well to get texture and detail. So the idea being is that the oak and Carnunus and the forest behind will be sort of soft focus, and then the vixen and cub will be our main focal point, of course, because why wouldn't they be? So there you are. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing a little bit of that anyway. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. If I'm running a little short of time, I can always come back and answer them in a separate communication if you have any. So don't worry about asking and putting my timings out, because I can sort that out. So that's my current work, and I will keep you up to date with it. I'm excited to do more. I'm having to be patient because I'm having to stop and start. I've just had a migraine attack the last few days, so it's just a case of learning great patience and trusting that it all happens in perfect timing, which sometimes I'm better at than others. So there you are. So finally, what I'd like to share with you, as I said at the start, is something that I wanted to do. I haven't been out and about this year, and I haven't booked many events at all this year just because my health's been so unpredictable. But I did want to say thank you to all of you lovely people that read my newsletter and have followed me sometimes for many years, and I really do appreciate it. So what I thought I'd do is put on a lovely summer saver for all those of you in the northern hemisphere anyway. I guess it's a winter saver if you're south of the equator, and offer you a special coupon. Oh, Robin, bless you. I shall read that in fact, I better read it now because once you go, it disappears, doesn't it? So I'll have a quick read. Oh, yes, beautiful. Oh, you're so welcome. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. And I can't wait for your book launch tomorrow. So excited. So, what is it all about? Well, I'm going to cover it fairly quickly, and then what I'm going to do afterwards is I'll send the recording out with the replay, and it'll have all the details that you need so that if you'd like to, you can go onto my web shop and have a browse, and there's a coupon code that I'll show you how to use so you can get a wonderful reduction in price for a week. So I'm going to do it till the end of July, which is the 31st of July, next Wednesday. So you've got a week to have a look. You can use it as often as you like. If you're thinking of gifts for others, that's fine as well. If you have any special requests, let me know. But what I wanted to do is just allow you to sort of have a look at some of my offerings, but get a reduction. I know that it's been tough for a lot of us with cost of living and all that sort of stuff going on. So I hope this makes you smile. And if you're interested, you can go and take a look. So what it basically is I'm going to reduce all of my art and products by 30%, so that you can see a nice saving on anything that you might be thinking about investing in, or you might have had a look at before and thought maybe later. Hopefully this will enable you to feel excited about being able to do that. So for example, I'll just check my notes. Getting a bit messed up with my notes. I've got some notes. So for example, my normal price for my 5 small greetings cards across my 2 collections of Wild Britain and Wild Soul. They're normally, for 5, they're normally £10.50, but they will be £7.35 for the week. So that makes a reasonable difference. My book is also included. So if you haven't, I know most of you have seen this, but if you haven't, some of you may not have done, The Purpose of Species by Julie Lyons, which was my name before I married the lovely David Chabot and became Mrs. Chabot. He's on the call too, waving away. That's going to be reduced as well. So let me check my maths on that. So that will become, hold on, that will become £10.89. Instead of £15.55. So that's quite nice, isn't it? And even across my let's have a look, my prints and originals, there's all going to be a 30% off. So I've got a selection of little mini limited editions, and that's the Kenning Fox, which seems to be fitting, doesn't it, for this evening. There's only 20 of each of these that I offered last year, and there's a few left of each of those. So they were £27.50, and you can get them for £19.25 now. So that gives you a flavour for the savings. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to whiz over to my website to show you how easy it is to, let's see where I need to go. I'm just sharing the screen. Give me a second. No, that's not the right bit. Get rid of that. Oh, yes, it is. I'm in the right place, sort of. Right. Hold on. Oh, it stopped. Why did it stop? That's strange, isn't it? There we go. There, and share. Will it let me in? Can you see that? Can you just give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? Yes, excellent. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, thank you. I'm trying to get up there. Yeah, they've got this funny little bit at the top that won't go away for me to open my shop. Oh, I'm going to go in another way. Oh, resourcefulness, resourcefulness. I'm learning from Fox. Right, so got there. So now you should be able to see the top of my shop. Yes? Okay. So very simply, how are we doing on time? We're okay. We've got 6 minutes left, so I'm going to be quick. You've got originals first. They all run on from each other, then cards and my book, and then finally prints. But let's say we want to, let's go for an original and click on Ancient Hair Wisdom. So that one pops up. You might need to select which one you want if you're buying a print, for example, but on this one, there's only one. So you add it to your cart. And then there's a little bit down here that says enter a promo code. So all you need to do is type in Summer Saver 30% and apply it at that point. And then it magically calculates a beautiful saving and gives you the total amount. And then you just check out as normal. Now, if you're overseas and you want to do that, rather than check out, do that calculation because it'll tell you how much you're going to save. Just go up here to where it says inquire here and click on that and it will open an email to me. And if you just let me know, hi, I'd love to order this and I've got the Summer Saver 30% and I live in America or wherever you are, I'll then have a look at that, calculate the best postage for you, and then send you back the details with a link for payment. Because I've only got this website set up for the UK because it was just so complicated otherwise. So that's it. That's how you do it. Summer Saver 30%, and that will be available until midnight on the 31st of July. So has anybody got any questions on that? Did it make sense? Did I do a good job of explaining it? Just wanted to make it
very
simple.
clear.
Good. Oh,
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, let's have a look. Oh, did you see David's comment? It's amazing the way the fox and cub, even in their early blossoming forms, lift and illuminate the energy here in our cottage, Jules. So beautiful. Yes, we are very, very lucky. And I think, Robin, you're very lucky where you are as well, aren't you? And I think you are too, Bob, as well, aren't you? You've got lots of nature around. So I know that those of us lucky enough to be surrounded are very blessed by that. But even if you're in the city, you know, you can always connect, even if they're not there physically. So there we are. So thank you all so much. I hope you've enjoyed this short visit into my little world upstairs in our teeny little cottage in South Derbyshire in England. It's been lovely to have you here, whether live or in replay. I will feel your energy coming into that. I know quite a few of you said you'll be watching the replay. So please do feel free if you have any other questions that pop up just to let me know, either at my website or when you get the replay. I'll try and get that out this evening. You can just reply to any of those emails and they come straight back to me. But I hope you found that interesting and enjoyable, and I hope if you're interested you enjoy having a wander around my website. But other than that, unless you've got any final questions to ask or to clarify, that's great. Thank you to all of you. It's been so lovely to have you here, and sending you all lots of love. And I'll do this again soon, maybe in the next few months or so, and I'll definitely get that video out about the about my proper little studio tour. All right. Okay.
Fabulous. Thanks, Jules.
Oh, thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks, Jules. You're amazing.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.